Hi, my name's Ian Moyes, and I have the pleasure of interviewing a lot of people in many roles I've held, and both in terms of employment interviewing, but also in judging awards. I've had the pleasure of judging the Women in Sales Awards, Top Sales World Awards, BESMA, and a number of others, where you get to meet individuals, and it's a very much an interview process as you're judging them as an individual. So, having been on both sides of the candidate and the employer side of the table in recruitment and seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of behaviours, I thought it would be useful to many of you, particularly now during COVID, the furlough word that has unfortunately become very familiar to all of us, to give some hints and tips of what I've seen that may be of use to you either now or in the future. So some of the behaviours I see and some of the things that I think you can do differently and make yourself stand out in a positive fashion. Firstly, you're going to meet another individual human. Now, today it might be over video camera, or it may be we may be getting back to in person. But either way, you know you're going to meet one or multiple people. So firstly, find out who they are. If it's being arranged by a recruiter or by the HR department of that business, ask them, who am I going to meet? If they haven't made it clear to you, and not just by job title, individual, and what role are they in, just to make sure you've got the right individual. Then go and look them up on LinkedIn. Go and check them out. Who do you share connections with? Perhaps you want someone you're well conversant with, a friend, a previous colleague or employer is connected to that individual. Well, why not reach out to them and ask them, I've got an interview with Dave coming up. I've got an interview with Rachel coming up. What are they like? How well do you know them? And for all you know, they're going to say, oh, really, really well. We used to play golf together. We used to work together. There may be a really good relationship in place, in which case, not only ask them, what can I expect, and get yourself more prepared, but why not say, would you mind if I mention knowing you? Would you be a reference for me? What a great place to be in. If you're meeting another individual and during the process, not right at the beginning, but during the process of that conversation where appropriate, to be able to mention, Dave said you were, he knows you, Rachel, Dave Smith, and I hope you don't mind, but I had a chat with him to prepare. Let them know you did that. What a great thing that you took that effort and you cared enough about the position and the discussion you're about to have. And then saying, by the way, he said he'd be happy to have a conversation with you as a reference. We used to work together, etc. You've now given them someone that they know and trust as a reference, as opposed to someone generic. Everyone says, oh, can you give me some references? But everyone also knows if you're selecting them, you're going to select good ones, of course. So that's given them, in a way, an independent reference point. If there's multiple people, check them all out. Check, can you see that they're linked together? Can you find any point of authentic connection with them? So firstly, make sure you do that. Secondly, prepare for the interview and prepare again and again. Proper planning prevents poor performance. How many people have I seen in an interview who they've skimmed the website in 5 seconds, they've read the job spec in 5 seconds, they haven't checked myself out or a colleague that might be interviewing them? How does that come across compared to someone that comes in and sits down and shows and demonstrates through that interview process and time that we're having together? Boy, do they know about the company, and they know because the type of questions that they're asking, they're informed questions, not the traditional run-of-the-mill, I've downloaded the top 10 questions to ask an interview. Perhaps they're asking, well, I can see your annual report, over the past 2 years has had some fluctuations, and the comments from the CEO said this is what you're needing to do and reshape and re-strategize, and you're moving in this direction. Can you give me some, how does that move forward? How would that affect my role? Ask smart questions, prepared questions. Have notes in front of you. Again, sounds naive, but many people I interview, even salespeople, sit there with no pad, no paper, turn up, wait for me to ask questions. They answer a question, they wait for the next question, and it is literally like hitting tennis ball over the rail. Have something where you can invoke conversation. It's a conversation, a discussion, not a formulaic interview where I ask, you return. Also think about what it's like for the interviewer. Put yourself in their shoes. What's going to impress them during the process? Being prepared for sure. Check them out on LinkedIn. They may notice that. I often notice people have checked out my profile. Well, if I'm just about to interview and see you've done that, even if I don't mention it, it's another minor thing. It may be a photo finish horse race to get that role. It may be that you don't stand out 5 times greater than the next candidate. But all those small things you do make a difference. So make the effort. And then think about smart ways during the interview and smart questions to ask. For example, perhaps ask at the end, you want to know how you did. A lot of people don't even ask. They say, well, great, thank you for your time. I look forward to hearing. Well, you're there now with another human being. Why not simply ask them? If I were in your shoes, Jack, thank you for interviewing me today. If I were in you were in my shoes, apologies. If you're in my shoes, is there anything else I should be doing to demonstrate I'm the best candidate for this role for you? If nothing else, it's a great question, a professional question to ask. Or ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I'm an average candidate, I'm not a good fit for this, or 10 being I'm the best candidate you could be looking for. Could you give me some feedback of where you would place me today? Ask those questions, try and get some feedback. And if nothing else, if you're not the right candidate, say to them, if it turns out I'm not the right candidate, one thing I would respectfully ask is, could we have a conversation following so that I can learn why and any mistakes I made to help me in my next interview process so I can be better. That in itself shows your demeanour as someone who wants to learn, but also if you don't get the role, what a great opportunity to get better for the next one. Make value of the interaction you've had with this other individual or group of individuals by learning something so that your next interview you don't make the same mistakes that you may not even know you're making. Hopefully there's a few tips there that you can make use of. I wish you well if you are looking for a role right now, and thank you for your time.